Hi students, welcome back. Today we are going to learn a new lesson from our course book of grade 7. The name of the lesson is Wildlife, a City Pond. At the end of the class, you will be able to read and comprehend the paragraph, enrich your vocabulary, learn and see the beauty of simple things, learn and identify different kinds of adjectives. Avinash Kotari, as a schoolboy, helped start the environmental group Kalpavrish. Since then, he has traveled to many wildlife areas, learning from them and helping them survive many dangers. Kotari is also a teacher and a photographer. He has worked on over 30 books on conservation and development. This lesson is written by Ashish Kotari. Let's see what we are going to read today. Wildlife in a city pond. Before starting the lesson, let me ask some question. What could be the story be about? What do you think could be the main characters in the story? Who could be the main characters? Have you seen a pond in your neighborhood? If yes, what does you see in the pond other than water? Is the pond clean or dirty? I am sure you all will be having an answer for all this question. Now let's check. Is it your answer correct or do you have to make any further clarification? So let's move on to our lesson. Wildlife in a city pond. It was dark outside and I could not see much from my window. I had just moved into a new house in Pune that evening. There was disturbing cacophony emerging from the dark. It sounded like hundreds of badly tuned radios cracking away. It was only in the morning that I began to solve the mystery. There, below my balcony, was a small pond. I realized it must be home to many animals that woke up only at night. When our listeners begin, we can see the situation. It was dark outside and I could not see much from my window. I had just moved into a new house in Pune that evening. The writer was disturbed with the cacophony, means an unpleasant mix of sound emerging from the dark. How does it sound? What was it sounded like to the writer? It sounded like hundreds of badly tuned radios crackling away. When it became morning, it was only in the morning that I began to solve the mystery. What was the mystery? There, below my balcony, was a small pond. I realized it must be home to many animals, and that animals only woke up at night. These animals are making that disturbing noise. So this is the beginning of the lesson. Here the speaker is describing about the atmosphere around his room and balcony. Over the next year, I watched the pond transform through the season. In summer, the area looked dried and lifeless, but come monsoon, life burst out like an orchestra. In this paragraph, we can see the writer is describing about the pond during a summer season. How does this pond look like during summer? The area looked dry and lifeless. In the picture, you can see the area covered around the pond is dry and it is lifeless. But when monsoon came, when the rain started, life burst out like an orchestra. The meaning of the word orchestra is a large group of musicians playing different instruments. So here he is describing the life around the pond during summer and the transformation that happened when the monsoon season started. The first raindrops on the thirsty land gave off a lovely earthly smell. They also did what no magician can do. They turned the brown earth into an oasis of green and blue. With a few days, blades of reeds were shining silver in the sun. Plants that had seemed dead suddenly stood proud and tall. The chocolate brown roots of the typha plant swayed in the wind. Flowers from nearby trees drifted everywhere. So, dear children, let's see what happened when the first raindrop hits on the ground. The first raindrops on the thirsty land gave a lovely earthly smell. We all know that we all enjoy that lovely smell when the first rain comes on earth. They also did what no magician can do. What magic did the rain bring here? They turned the brown earth into an oasis of green and blue. Here, the rain transformed the dry land into a land of oases with green and blue. Within a few days, blades of reeds were shining silver in the sun. You can see reeds here on the screen, tall plants like grass that grow in the wet places. Plants that had seemed deadly suddenly stood proud and tall when the rain hits the earth. The plants which look like dead, suddenly they all come back to life and they all stood proud and tall. The chocolate brown roots of typha plant swayed in the wind. Here you can see the picture of a plant. This plant is called typha. So this plant started to move in the wind. The chocolate brown roots of the typha plant swayed in the wind. Flowers from nearby trees drifted everywhere. The flowers on the nearby trees, they drifted everywhere. Let's listen to the next paragraph. Other creatures too joined in the nature's dance. Brilliant blue kingfisher waited patiently on branches, suddenly swooping down to catch a fish with a splash. Baya weaver birds and scaly-breasted munias pick on the reeds for their nest. Here we can see that other creatures also were very happy and they all started to join with the dance of nature. Brilliant blue kingfisher waited patiently on branches. The kingfisher was waiting very patiently on the branches, suddenly swooping down to catch a fish with a splash. Suddenly, this kingfisher birds will come down firstly and they will catch a fish. Next, we can see some other birds also are mentioned in this paragraph. Here, Baya weaver birds. In this picture, you can see Baya weaver birds And the scaly breast munias is also, you can see here, they picked on the reeds for their nest. They are picking the reeds. The reeds means tall plants, so they are picking the reeds to make the nest. They are collecting that and they are bringing them to their nest to make a small home for them. In the water, I noticed some rock shining in the sun. But as my binoculars focused on them, I was astonished. They were turtles. And then I saw movement under the water. More flapshell turtles just a week back. The ground was barren. Where did the turtle come from? I learned from a book that they slept under the ground during the dry summer and waiting for the pond to fill up again. In their honor, I started calling it the Flapshell Pond. He noticed something strange in the water. I noticed some rock shining in the sun. When he was looking through his window, he saw some rock and there was shining. In order to get a clear picture of that, he took his binocular and focused on them. But he was really astonished. Why? That was not rock, they were turtles. And then I saw movement under the water, more flapshell turtle just a week back. The ground was barren. Now he can see more flapshell turtles there. A week earlier, the ground was barren. Where did the turtle come from? The writer was thinking, where did the turtle come from? And he just got the answer that he have read it from some book that they slept under the ground during the dry summer. What will the turtles do? They will sleep under the ground during the summer and waited for the pond to fill up again. When the pond become fill again, they will came out of the ground. In the honor towards the turtle, I started calling it the flap shell pond. In in giving an honor to that turtle, our writer started to call the pond as a flap shell pond. So here we are stopping for today. We will be back with the remaining parts tomorrow. Now let's listen to some new words which you have come across today. The first word is orchestra. An orchestra is a large group of musicians who play a variety of different instruments together. Orchestras usually play in classical music. You can see on the screen, this group is called orchestra. Next one, reeds. Tall plant like grass that grow in the wet places. These are called reeds. Typha. It's a kind of plants which have a brown color roots. We have come across the word typha. The pronunciation is typha. Let's have a check what we have learned so far. Let me ask some question. Try to find out the answer for this. You already know? Here it goes. How does the cacophony sounded like to the writer? How does the pond look like in summer? Describe the transformation of the pond during monsoon. Which image of the pond do you like better? The dry and lifeless one, or the oasis of blue and green one, and why? Next, we are going with our grammar section of this lesson. Today, we are going to learn about kinds of adjectives. What is an adjective? Adjective, it's a word that gives information about a noun A noun is the name of a person, thing, or animal. Describing words is called an adjective. So, it is very clear. Now, we are going to learn about different kinds of adjectives. The first one is descriptive or qualitative. They describe the nature or characteristics of a person, animal, or thing. Example: tall, excellent, slim, young, square, plastic, etc. This all adjective help us to describe or um, help us to identify the quality of that noun. So this type of adjectives are called descriptive or qualitative adjectives. Next is adjective of quantity, quantitative adjectives, to indicate the number or amount of things. Some, much, little, enough, all, no, any, whole, several. These all are a few examples of adjective of quantity. She found many pens under the table. Here the word many is the adjective used to describe the pen. So many is a quantitative adjective. Third one, demonstrative adjectives. They are used to demonstrate or point to a particular person, animal, or thing. To point out nouns, we use demonstrative adjectives. Example is here this, these, that, those. This is my friend Dina. Those books belong to her. So, this demonstrative means to use or to point a particular person, animal, or thing. Interrogative adjectives. They are used to ask questions about noun. We can use interrogative adjective with question. Use with noun to ask question. Example are what, whose, where, why, how, and which. Whose pen is this? The word whose is an interrogative adjective because it's a question word and it is used with a noun. Which way shall we go? Here the word which is an interrogative adjective. Next one we have possessive adjectives. Possessive adjectives, they are used to show that something belongs to someone. Used to show possession. Let's see. My, your, his, her, our, their, its. These all are a few examples of possessive adjectives. That is her hat. Their parents came to my house yesterday. So here you can see the highlighted words here. This type of words are called possessive adjective because it helps to show the possession of a person. Next, we are moving on to the next type of adjective. They are adjective of number. Adjective of number, they give the number of a noun. They also show the place of a noun in a sequence. Adjective of number answer the question how many. I met her several times. We have two hands. How many hands? Two hands. And the position that we held also will be understandable through adjective of number. Now you will be having a doubt. What is the difference? So once again, here you can see adjective of different kinds. Descriptive adjective, describe the nature of characteristics of a person, animal, or thing. Next one, demonstrative adjective. They are used to demonstrate or point to a particular person, animal, or thing. The next one we have possessive adjective. They are used to show that something belongs to someone. Next, adjective of quantity. They indicate the amount of a noun. They do not indicate exact number. Numeral adjective. They give the number of a noun. They also show the place of a noun in a sequence. Interrogative adjective. They are used to ask question about noun. Okay? Now, in your book, page number 35, you can see two exercise. I want you all to complete it. Okay, it's a small class work for you. So, hope you understand today's class. Thank you, students. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.